Most people think money is about math, income, expenses, and spreadsheets. But in reality, the biggest danger to your bank account isn't numbers. It's your own psychology. The subtle biases, fears, and habits that shape how you earn, spend, and even think about wealth. You might believe you're making rational choices every day, but what if your brain is quietly working against you? What if the very instincts that once helped our ancestors survive are now sabotaging your success? From comfort disguised as safety to logic that hides fear, these traps don't just drain your wallet, they rewrite your potential. Welcome to the Money Compendium, where we uncover the psychology, history, and hidden habits behind real wealth. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly which mental traps keep most people broke, and how to rewire your thinking like a millionaire. Let's begin. And pay attention to the final one, because it's the mindset that keeps even the smartest people stuck in the grind. Number 1. The comfort trap. The most dangerous prison isn't made of walls, it's made of comfort. You might think stability is success, but psychology tells us comfort is one of the most seductive forms of self-sabotage. When you finally make enough to cover rent, groceries, and a few luxuries, your brain releases dopamine and says, "You're safe." The problem is, safety turns off ambition. The brain's motivational circuits quiet down once survival feels secure, convincing you that comfort equals progress. But it's an illusion. Comfort is the enemy of growth. People who build real wealth learn to weaponize discomfort. They put themselves in controlled tension, taking new risks, asking hard questions, and pushing into skills they haven't mastered yet. They understand that discomfort isn't punishment. It's a signal that you're expanding your capacity. Growth begins where comfort ends. And when you try to avoid discomfort, you fall into something far trickier. A trap corporations use to keep you overwhelmed and obedient. Number 2. The choice overload trap. You walk into a store for toothpaste. 40 options. Whitening, charcoal, fluoride-free, peppermint swirl. And 10 minutes later, you're paralyzed. This is choice overload, and it's not just a consumer problem, it's a financial one. The human brain burns energy making decisions. Too many options drain your focus and push you toward what's familiar, not what's smart. It's why most people stick with the same old bank, skip investing, or spend weeks researching without acting. In finance, choice overload creates the illusion of productivity. You scroll, compare, and overanalyze, but make zero progress. Wealthy people understand that clarity beats variety. They build systems that remove decision fatigue. For example, they automate savings, invest in broad index funds, and follow a few timeless principles instead of chasing the newest advice. It's not more choice that builds wealth. It's fewer, smarter ones. And once your choices are clear, there's one thing left to battle: your emotions, which are always ready to hijack your wallet. Number 3. The emotional spending trap. Have you ever noticed your worst financial decisions happen right after a bad day? That's emotional spending, your brain's attempt to self-medicate with dopamine. When you're stressed, lonely, or frustrated, your emotional brain takes control and craves instant comfort. You tell yourself, "I deserve this," and click buy. But what you're really buying is relief, not happiness. That momentary rush masks the deeper discomfort, leaving you poorer and still unfulfilled. Psychologists call this mood repair behavior. It's a biological loop where spending becomes therapy. The wealthy break this pattern not by becoming emotionless, but by reframing the reward. They associate satisfaction with anticipation instead of purchase. Planning a future trip, saving toward a goal, or watching investments grow gives them the same dopamine hit, without the regret. So before every impulse buy, ask, am I solving a problem or soothing a feeling? Because the next trap shows just how powerful your short-term emotions really are, especially when it comes to your future self. Number 4. The present bias trap. Humans are wired for now. It's why a slice of cake today feels better than losing weight next month. And why most people will take $100 today over $150 next week. This is present bias, the tendency to value immediate rewards over future ones. It's built into our biology. Our ancestors needed to prioritize short-term survival, not retirement planning. But in modern life, it's financial poison. It's what keeps people spending instead of investing, ignoring the compounding power of time. Economists discovered that visualizing your future self actually reverses this bias. When you picture what you'll look like, where you'll live, and how you'll feel 20 years from now, your brain begins to care about that version of you. That emotional connection transforms discipline into desire. The wealthy feed that connection constantly. They see every dollar saved as a reward in itself, not deprivation. And while most people lose to short-term thinking, the next trap proves there's another silent killer. Thinking you're smarter than everyone else. Number 5. The Overconfidence Trap. Confidence builds success, but overconfidence destroys it. It's the bias that convinces you you're a pretty good investor, driver, or negotiator, even when you're not. Studies show more than 80% of people rate themselves above average at financial decision-making. That's impossible. Overconfidence makes you underestimate risk, skip research, and double down when you should cut losses. It's what drives speculative bubbles and the I'll-get-rich-quick mindset that ends in regret. Smart investors don't assume they're smarter than the market. They accept that they're human. That means prone to emotion, error, and illusion. Instead of chasing certainty, they build systems that limit their own mistakes. Automatic contributions, diversified portfolios, and clear exit rules. The moment you believe you're immune to bias is the moment bias wins. And while overconfidence blinds you to danger, the next trap flips that equation. It convinces you danger is everywhere, paralyzing your progress before it even begins. Number 6. The Loss Aversion Trap. People hate losing money more than they love gaining it. In fact, psychologists have found that losing $100 hurts about twice as much as winning $100 feels good. This deep emotional bias is called loss aversion, and it's wired into our survival instincts. For ancient humans, loss meant starvation, danger, or death. So the brain evolved to overreact to it. But in today's financial world, that instinct becomes poison. It's what makes people panic sell when markets dip, hoard cash for safety, or cling to jobs that no longer serve them because, at least it's secure. Here's the hard truth. Avoiding loss guarantees long-term loss. Inflation erodes your savings, opportunities disappear, and skills grow stale. The wealthy understand that controlled loss is tuition, the price of progress. Every failed investment, every small setback, teaches resilience and judgment. They don't fear losing, they fear stagnation. Because when you avoid risk entirely, you're not protecting your wealth, you're slowly burying it. And speaking of slow erosion, the next trap hides not in the big losses, but in the tiny, invisible ones that sneak up on you every single day. Number 7. The Micro-Expense Trap. It's not the luxury vacation that ruins your finances. It's the $5 habit repeated endlessly. That daily coffee, app subscription, or late-night delivery may seem trivial, but over time, they drain your future wealth drop by drop. Psychologists call this mental accounting. We categorize small expenses as harmless, giving ourselves emotional permission to overspend without noticing. Each micro-purchase triggers a quick dopamine hit, reinforcing the behavior. The result is a financial slow bleed disguised as normal life. Wealthy people, however, see these small choices differently. They don't obsessively cut every cost. They cultivate awareness. They know why they spend, not just what they spend. When they buy something, it's intentional, not impulsive. That awareness builds discipline. And discipline compounds just like money. It rewires your brain to crave delayed gratification instead of instant comfort. And once you learn to master those small daily decisions, you're ready for the next challenge. A psychological trap far more cunning because it comes disguised as logic. Number 8. The Justification Trap. Your brain is a brilliant liar, and its favorite person to lie to is you. When your actions don't align with your goals, your mind invents stories to protect your self-image. I'll invest when I make more money. I need to treat myself. I've earned it. I'll start budgeting next month. Sound familiar? This is the justification trap, a psychological defense against cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of acting against what you know is right. The problem is, each justification feels like a rational choice, but it's really a delay disguised as strategy. The wealthy handle this differently. They treat excuses like evidence in a courtroom. They question every rationalization. Would this explanation hold up under cross-examination? If not, it's dismissed. Breaking this trap requires brutal honesty, the kind that stings. But once you stop lying to yourself, you reclaim control from the stories your ego tells. And once you do, you'll start to notice something even more powerful shaping your financial life. Not from inside your head, but from the world around you. Number 9. The social comparison trap. Comparison is the silent thief of financial peace. You scroll through social media, see someone your age with a luxury car or perfect vacation, and instantly feel behind. That's not envy. It's status anxiety, a psychological loop that convinces you your worth depends on others' achievements. The brain processes social comparison like a threat to survival. In the tribal past, being lower in status could literally mean fewer resources. Today, that same instinct fuels debt, overspending, and burnout, all in the name of catching up. The wealthy play a different game. They compare only with who they were yesterday. Their metrics are internal: discipline, knowledge, and progress, not possessions. Because the more you chase other people's definitions of success, the more you lose sight of your own. True wealth isn't measured by what you can buy. It's measured by how little external validation you need. And when you stop comparing, you finally see the last and most powerful trap for what it is, the one that keeps millions chained to effort instead of evolution. Number 10. The linear thinking trap. Most people believe money equals hours worked. The more hours, the more income. That's the linear thinking trap, a leftover belief from the industrial age where effort and reward were tightly linked. But in the modern economy, the richest people don't work harder. They work differently. Psychologically, this trap stems from what researchers call effort justification. We equate sweat with value, believing if something didn't hurt to earn, it can't be real success. But the wealthy reject that narrative entirely. They focus on leverage, building systems, assets, and intellectual property that earn, even when they rest. Books, digital products, investments, businesses. These are tools that detach time from income. It's not about escaping work. It's about redesigning the relationship between time, effort, and reward. Once you start valuing time more than money, everything shifts. You stop asking, "How can I make more?" and start asking, "How can I make this work without me?" Because escaping the linear trap isn't just financial freedom, it's mental freedom. And that's the real endgame of wealth psychology. Every one of these traps begins in the same place: your mind. Comfort, fear, comparison, justification, they all whisper the same lie: stay safe. But the truth is, safety rarely leads to success. Real wealth begins when you start questioning your instincts, seeing emotion as data, and treating discomfort as direction. The wealthy aren't superhuman. They're just self-aware. They recognize their psychological biases and design systems that protect them from themselves. That's the secret most people never learn. Mastering money isn't about control. It's about clarity. In our next video, we'll go deeper into the hidden cost of all these tiny mental battles, the silent exhaustion that drains your focus, limits your ambition, and ruins financial judgment. You'll learn how millionaires protect their minds from it before it even begins. So tell me, which of these traps have you caught yourself in lately? Drop your thoughts below, and if you're ready to start mastering the psychology of wealth, stay tuned, because this journey is just getting started.